In the fourth round of Reykjavik Open Tournament, I was paired with Irina Krush from United States. I played e4. Irina always starts with c5, knight f3, d6, and today I didn't want to play some theoretical lines, so I chose bishop b5. Well, already here I was not sure what to expect. Irina chose bishop d7, took on d7 with queen, and after castle she played knight f6. Here I tried a couple of times move e5, and after de, knight takes e5. Black should go with queen to c8, because okay, maybe queen c7 can be possible as well, but white can push d4. After c takes d4, bishop f4. I remember something like this, and well, maybe this can be dangerous for black, I'm not sure. In any case, queen c8 is good enough, and normally black is able to finish development with e6, bishop e7, short castle, and it is very important in this position to play knight f to d7 at some point. I exchange this knight for knight on e5, and then other knight can jump to c6 and later d4. So I already played games like this, and I was pretty sure Irina would check them, so today I played rook e1, knight c6, c3, e6, d4, c takes d4, c takes d4. This is a well-known position. After e5, black's main option is to jump to e4. And then I normally play knight d2, and after knight d2, bishop takes d2, bishop e7, rook c1. This is a very normal standard position. It looks like black has maybe better bishop in this position, but it's not so easy to understand whose bishop is better. Actually, black generally castles short, and very often the bishop on d2 is better than bishop on e7, because white can attack black's king, and black's bishop is limited by white's pawns. Also, it's important that, okay, there is this strategical disadvantage for black. His king is a little bit in danger, and white also has in his turn strategical disadvantage, and this is weak pawn on d4, but knight on f3 is very well placed, protecting this pawn and also helping the attack on black's king. So generally I think this position is a bit more pleasant for white, and white here can go rook c3. This rook can be transferred to the king's side to attack the black king, and well, now if white's bishop is better, you may ask why black doesn't play bishop b4 and exchange these bishops. Well, I will give you a minute to try to find the reason yourself. So bishop b4 is a big mistake in this position. White has this move, rook takes c6, and if black takes on c6, he will lose also the bishop, and this position is lost for him. And if he tries to insert bishop d2, white can also insert rook d6, and now black is completely lost. So bishop b4 is not an option, and black has two ideas. One is to try to organize some play on the c file with the rook fc8, for example. Now white generally plays a3 to secure d3 square for his rook, and knight cannot jump to a5 because of rook c8 and bishop takes a5, and after any other move, white will play rook d3 and then continue the attack, probably by playing h4 and later either knight g5 or knight h2. White is not afraid, of course, to sacrifice one pawn on h4, and this attack can be really strong. So I wouldn't recommend this position for black, although computers generally evaluate it as better for black even. Other option for black is to push f6. Well, it doesn't have to be here, it can be maybe some other moment, but... And now after this exchange on f6, black takes with rook. And, well, now black does have a weakness on e6, but he also got some space, and very often there is idea to sacrifice an exchange on f3 and then take pawn on d4. Still, maybe this position is also a little bit more pleasant for white. So Irina decided to play a move knight g8. I only knew such move existed and that it was not bad. I mean, it looks like a normal move. Machine even says that white has worse position despite of this fact that black went back with her knight. And well, I didn't know what to do here, and I found one idea that seemed maybe logical to me. I decided, because I saw black's knight would come to f5 and that it would be really strong there, I decided to exchange this knight, and I played knight c3, and after knight g7, knight e2, and after knight f5, just knight g3. Now I want to take, and this would be really bad for her pawn structure, so she should exchange on g3. I took with h-pawn, of course, and now this position, okay, maybe it's balanced, but I still thought that it would be a bit more pleasant for white to play, because my only real weakness, the pawn on d4, is well protected, and for black maybe it's not easy to choose place for the king, because if king goes to the queen side, then black cannot attack where she is stronger on the queen's side, because she cannot push the pawns and so on. While I probably can try to attack her pawns on the king's side. Well, this is not so easy either, so maybe it's possible to castle. Probably it is possible to castle queen side as well. If black castles short, then my idea is to push g4, g5, probably g3 and king g2 I will play as well, and then organize attack over h-file. This can be unpleasant for black, really. So I thought maybe that my knight is on f3 is still very good, excellent knight, and I still thought maybe my position would be just a bit more pleasant to play. Irina played bishop e7, and now I understood that maybe it's not easy for me either to make a move in this position, because I didn't want to push g4 so early before black committed her king. If I push g4 now, I was afraid that black would choose queenside for her king. Maybe she can start with h5. I was thinking about taking and then pushing g4, which might look scary, but actually I was sure my king was pretty safe. After rook h8, I can start with king g2 or bishop f4, I'm not sure which way is better. Well, at some point black will castle long. Well, I should assume that she will try to open the king side with f6 at some point, but it's not so dangerous for me. I can put my bishop to f4 and then later to g3 if necessary. I thought this position was playable as well, but it really looks solid for black, so I must not think that white has advantage here. It's just a playable position. And I didn't want to push g4. Of course, if I answer h5 with g5, then black will play g6. Now her king side is almost perfectly safe, and she can now castle and try to double rooks on c file, organize some play where she's stronger, and I will have some problems. Of course, I might try even then to push g4 at some point and open the king side, but it's not going to be very easy, and generally I thought this structure would be favorable for black. So I didn't want to push g4. What else? I didn't see some very useful move. Queen d3 is a nice move, but then knight b4 might come, so I decided to play a3. And okay, now I took b4 under control. I also have idea to maybe push b4 and my queen can come to d3. Well, the setup that I would like the most is with queen on d3 and bishop on d2. The only problem was that now black can jump to a5 with her knight, and this was my main concern and move that Irina chose. Now, at first I was thinking about bishop d2. I thought she would have to jump to c4, attacking my b3 pawn, and maybe I can go back and try to repeat the position, or if I want to play for a win, then I must try to come to c3 probably. Now I want to push a4 and later b3, chase this knight away. It will have to go to b6. On b6 it will not be so strong, so I thought black would push b5 here, and now, well, I didn't like this situation on the queen side, to be honest, and also my bishop is not participating in possible kingside attack anymore. So I only checked a possibility to play a4, or maybe I can start with queen d3, but I just understood that this idea was not good. b4 and b3. Black takes on c3, I takes on c4, and black takes on c4 as well. Later she will protect her pawn on c3 by playing bishop b4, secure the bishop with a5. Queen has very nice square on d5. Black can now castle and the king will be very safe. Rooks will come to c and b files, and okay, black is better here. So I cannot do this. And then I saw that I can just push b3 and it started to look normal. b3, knight has no place to go but back, and I will just play rook e3 if needed. For example, after queen b5, my bishop will come to d2, and it seems that I took care of all important squares on the queen side, and then I will try just to push g4, g3, king g2, and try to improve my position on the king side. Irina did play queen b5, rook e3, and now she made a normal logical move, rook c8, improved her position where she can. She doesn't want to castle, this is very important. She wants to keep her options, and because if she castles, then I have some object for attack. And okay, here maybe other moves were possible. I still didn't want to push g4 because I was afraid of h5. And I decided to play bishop d2. It seemed like a normal move that improves my position a bit. And okay, now I might have some ideas, a4 or queen e1. I wasn't thinking they were something special, but still I thought I improved my position. And Irina played h5. She knew that my idea was to push g4, g3, king g2 and slowly improve my position. I control everything on the queen side, so she took some space on the king side as well, and she understood that g5 square wasn't critical at the moment, and actually this was a good move. Now it's not so easy for me to do something useful. I cannot push g4, and well, I only found one idea and I executed it. Well, what else can make some sense here? I don't know. I just saw the possibility bishop takes a5, and that's what I did. I will tell you later about this. The other move I considered was queen e1, attacking the knight. Now it's not good for black to take on b3 because I just play rook b1 and black loses material, but she can safely go back to c6. And I thought that also now my d4 pawn would soon need some protection, so I didn't like the fact that I had to move my queen to d1, from d1 to e1. Okay, this position was playable. It's probably balanced. And well, what else? I didn't see any other ideas, and I decided, okay, I should also say, after the game Irina mentioned that she was planning to just play b6. Well, I don't know about this move, maybe it's possible as well. So I saw this option to exchange on a5 and play rook c1. And now I thought I would be able to take control over c file. I saw something like, for example, black castles. I push b4, attacking the queen and protecting a3 pawn. And when black moves her queen, then I double my rooks on c file. And after the exchange, I will take control over the only open file. There are also some objects for attack on king side, and this was what I was hoping for. Of course, I was feeling that black might also have some things here. And, well, I was calculating moves like, okay, rook c1, of course, is one obvious option. Now black can take on a3, either with queen or with bishop. If she takes with a bishop, I can check. When she covers, I take on b7. Material is even, but I thought my position would be better now. My pieces look more active. She can also take on a3 with her queen. Then I check. She has to cover with the bishop, and again I was planning to take this pawn. Everything looks safe, and my pieces look more active again, and again I thought I would have some advantage. And what else? I also saw move king d7, the move that Irina played, and somehow carelessly I thought I would push b4, and then I said, okay, black queen would go somewhere. Actually, she made the correct move. She went to a6 to keep an eye on my a3 pawn, and now I was planning to double rooks, and after exchange rook c8 I take this too, then I check, and after king d7 I enter the weak king side and collect the pawns. That's what I was thinking, but when this position arose I understood that I was totally wrong and that my pawn on a3 needed protection. I completely forgot about that fact, and now of course this position is bad for me because she can take on a3 and b4, and I will take on f7, and now she just starts pushing this pawn. And now I thought this position would most probably be lost for me because this a pawn is super dangerous and her king is safe. I can maybe try to create some threats with my queen and knight, but it's not going to be easy at all. So when this position happened, okay, I had no choice. I had to push b4, and after queen a6 I was still hoping maybe she would go to some other square. I decided to play differently. I exchanged rooks on c8, and then I played knight e1. Now, okay, my rook on e3 is good. It is protecting a sensitive pawn on a3, and right now I'm attacking the pawn on h5. So I was expecting g6. That's the move Irina used. Then I jumped with my knight to d3. I want to go to c5, close the c file, then my position will be maybe a bit better. And Irina pushed b6 to prevent this possibility. Now she controls everything except for the pawn on f7. This pawn might be just a little bit weak, so I used my chance to attack this pawn. And it is very important that black cannot play rook c3, because I have a check on c5. For the same reason, she cannot take the pawn on a3, so she has to protect the pawn on f7. Of course, rook f8 is not great. I was actually expecting this move because I thought king e8 was even worse, but actually king e8 is the correct move. Irina played it immediately, and it is absolutely the right move. Now I was thinking somehow I would go queen d2, queen f4, and I was very optimistic about my attack. But actually this is nothing special. Okay, still I probably have to do this, because on queen side I'm having problems, and also if black manages to exchange queens, then I will have really big problems. My c4 pawn, d4 pawn is weak, black might push a5 and create another weakness, so I definitely wanted to keep queens on the board. And here I already saw that black has a g5 move, very nice move, and well, I was not happy about my position, because now I understood that I had no attack absolutely on the king side, and black will push g4, which will take away space for my king, so there will always be even some mating threats. Bishop will get g5 square, and here I was already worried that my position became worse, and I was trying to find some way to maybe draw the game, and knight b2 was my idea. And after g4 I was planning to go just rook c3, and let's say after exchange black should probably spend one move for king d7. Now I was still a bit worried, because I saw black queen would maybe come to e2, and it was not easy to prevent this. Maybe I can play knight d3, but then queen comes to c4, and this endgame is terrible. Black king is very fast and my pawns are weak. So I was worried about this position. I still thought I would probably be able to save it somehow, but I cannot say that I was sure. And after the game, Irina told me that a4 maybe is a good move, and she was probably right. Now I want to push b5 and then enter to c6 with my queen, so maybe black has to play something like this, and after exchange I can push b5. Now at least I managed to close all possible entry points for black king. And what about bishop? Well, after bishop b4 or bishop a3 with idea to attack pawn on d4, I have just knight d1. And now it looks like I'm finally safe. My king will come to d3, and probably I will not have problems to draw this position. So probably still I think I would find I would be able to find such defense, and I hope I would save the game, but well, I was really not happy around here. But Irina didn't consider g5. Probably she liked her structure, and somehow it was difficult to consider such a move, and she just played bishop f8 really quickly. I asked her after the game, and she said that she didn't think about g5 move. Well, okay, bishop f8, there's nothing wrong about this move, it looks good as well, and rook will protect f7 from c7, and she can try to enter from c5 with her queen. And what can I do now? Well, I didn't see... I thought I wasn't able to make some special threats, but around here I thought that I had enough activity to keep the position balanced. But I didn't want to jump with my knight to f4 because I didn't see a follow-up. I didn't want to go with my queen to f4 either, because after rook c7 I didn't see what to do next, and somehow in all my calculations I had problems with my king on g1. Black very often wants to, for example, take the pawn on a3, then queen a1 check, rook c1, and rook h1 checkmate. So I decided to move my king to h2, and well, of course I was worried about black taking my pawn on a3, but I found some tactical justification for this. If black takes on a3, at first I wanted to jump knight c5, attacking the queen, and I thought black would have to go queen a1, and then I go queen f4, and after rook c7 I take on e6. Black doesn't have time for rook c1, and I will probably win the game. But then I saw in this position that black has a fantastic answer, f5. And well, I got worried around here because now I cannot take on e6, for example, because black has rook c1, and I'm not going to escape this checkmate. So I was thinking about taking on f6, then black can take on c5, and well, about this position I was not sure. I thought I had some compensation, maybe even enough, but I was really not sure what was going on. And well, after f5 I saw another move as well. I can just return to d3 with my knight and try to attack g6 with queen g5 and knight f4, but I was not sure about this either. And then I saw that actually it's much better to start with queen f4, not knight c5, because black now cannot push f5, it would be a suicide. Black has to go rook c7, and now I can jump to c5. Now black cannot go queen a1, obviously, because after knight e6 it is transposition to the position that we already looked at, and black has to take on b4. This is the only move. Now she's protecting her bishop on f8, so I cannot take on e6, but I can jump to a6, and after some queen move I have to take on c7. This position is not easy to evaluate, but well, I thought my chances wouldn't be worse, because okay, black's king cannot be safe ever, and my king is right now really safe on h2. So I thought this position would be at least okay for me. And then okay, after this I decided to give this pawn, and I played king h2. And well, Irina played queen b7. I was thinking all the time that she would do something active, maybe come to c4 or b5, but she preferred to move her queen back, which was actually a good idea, most probably, because now her pawn on f7 is safe, and I had some ideas to attack pawn on g6 with my queen and knight and then sacrifice my knight somewhere, but now it's not going to work, because anytime I play queen g5, black just can play queen e7, and there's not much I can do. So here I was struggling to find some idea how to improve my position, and I decided finally to go for knight f4. I was thinking Irina would play bishop h6 with idea just to eliminate my knight, and after queen d3 just take on f4, and after this exchange, well, okay, I was not thinking I was worse, because still I have some activity and I can maybe sometimes push g4 and open some squares on the king side, but okay, I thought this position was good for black generally. So knight f4, this I was expecting this, but Irina played queen c6. She wanted to enter with her queen somewhere c2 or c1, and for example, if I was considering some knight moves. Well, one option was probably to take on g6 and then just attack this pawn with my queen, but I thought black would play bishop e7 and king d7, not very important, maybe in which order. And then it looked that her king would be really safe and she can protect the bishop if necessary with her rook, and her queen is free to try to attack some of my pawns. I thought this position would be bad for me. And one option was knight h3 with idea to jump to g5, but the problem is that black can play queen c1. Now if I don't exchange, her bishop can come to h6 and she will control all the squares. So, and if I exchange and jump to g5, she can return with her rook to c7, and now my position is definitely worse because I have weaknesses on d4, on a3, b4, and black doesn't have a single weakness in the position. Okay, f7, but after bishop h6, this is not going to be a weakness anymore. So knight h3 is definitely off the list. And two remaining moves were knight e2 and knight d3. If knight e2, I was thinking queen c2 would be a good move for black. Now I must not exchange queens, so I was thinking about queen f4. And now black can either protect with rook c7 when I couldn't see a clear follow-up, or she can play queen f5, which is good as well, and probably enough. Okay, maybe after queen e3 I can repeat the position. Although Irina mentioned that she might consider queen e4 here. Well, I don't know about this, it's just... it's possible, but okay, in any case I decided to return to d3 with my knight and free f4 square for my queen again, because black is not protecting this square anymore. So if she goes something like queen c2, then I will probably go to g5, and now I have again this old idea to jump to f4 with my knight and then take on e6 or g6. So I don't see any... Okay, with this move actually I repeated the position and I was not sure what would happen now. Maybe I thought Irina would repeat the position. Okay, queen b7 doesn't look like a logical move, so she played queen d7. I still wasn't sure if she was actually playing for a win or just trying to make the normal best moves. Well, queen d7 is a normal move. It is a... Maybe she played... No, she didn't play queen d7. She played queen c7 here. Yes, she wanted to protect f7 maybe and just keep her queen still on the c file. If I go queen g5, she has always as minimum queen e7. Yes, that's right, that's what she did. And I played my queen to f4. Well, I really didn't know what to do. I was just playing some moves because it's almost like waiting. I was trying to put my pieces to the best squares, but I didn't know how to create any threats. Well, maybe one of my ideas was to push g4 here. So queen on f4 can help this. And I was expecting queen e7, the move that Irina played. And now, for some reason, I couldn't understand that it was still possible to push g4. Well, I was thinking queen h4 check was preventing this, but after the game I talked with Irina and she told me that this was not her idea, and I understood myself that I would have king g1 move. Well, I don't know what happens here, but I simply failed to even think about this. So after g4, she was planning to play g5, but then she also saw a good move for me, queen d2, and after she takes on g4, I can play rook g3, and now my rook will take on g4, and also her pawn on g5 might be weak. So okay, this is just an option. I don't know if it's good or bad. In any case, after queen e7, I somehow thought that g4 was not possible because of queen h4, and I thought if my king goes to the first rank that there will be some checkmate, but it is funny because c1 square is not controlled once by my piece, it's controlled even twice, so I don't know how. This is simply the cause of this mistake in thinking is that I overestimated this threat of checkmate on the first rank. Of course, in chess it's good to have some space for your king, but also in such position where I'm threatening with a checkmate in one move or two moves, or to take on f7 and things like this, it's important to calculate precisely, and I didn't do this here. So I thought g4 was not possible, and I simply spent most of my time and decided to return to d2, and she played queen d7. Again, she didn't want to repeat the position. Well, I was not really worried about my position. I thought everything was okay with my position. Just, I thought it was around equal. I thought I had some pressure on the king's side. She also has quite safe position and some positional threat, maybe to exchange queens one day and have much better endgame. But I thought that altogether the position was balanced. And okay, I decided to return to f4 because I saw nothing better for myself. She repeated the position once, and then with only some 2 minutes, if I'm not wrong, I will check. No, I was wrong. She had 8 minutes for the remaining 7 moves when she played rook c3. She dared to play this move, although it looked quite risky. She lets me now push g4, and okay, one important thing is that I cannot jump to c5 because black doesn't take on c5, but she takes on f3. After I take on d7, she can take on f4, and I lose the game. So my idea here was to push g4, and that's what I did. g4, now I want to exchange on h5, then I will win this h5 pawn, then I will be really able to create some more pressure on f7, and this is not really good for black, because even if she wins pawn on a3, it's still not something too much. She still cannot win the game easily on the queen side in a few moves. She still has to work quite a lot in order to be able to create maybe some passed pawn, because if let's say she wins pawn on a3, then she pushes a5, and after b takes a, I get c5 square for my knight, and so on. So after g4 she has to take, I thought, and after this exchange, now it was a very interesting position. Now she had a possibility to take on a3 and enters a very unclear position. So after rook a3, I lost a pawn, and there's nothing I can do on the king's side, so black wants just to come back with rook and slowly try to win this position. So I have to jump with my knight to c5. Now my queen is not on f4 anymore, so black cannot take the rook. She has to take my knight, and after rook a3, she takes the pawn on b4 as well. And at first I was really worried about this position because black has two connected passed pawns, but the more I was thinking, the more I understood that actually position was not so bad at all. Black's king is a problem piece, and I started to think finally that even it would be more pleasant for me to play this position, At first I was thinking about rook a5. I wanted somehow to put my move rook to b5, but then I saw a very good move. Well, I want to go queen e2 of course first, then put my rook to b5. I saw a good move, queen c7, and if I go rook b5, black has a6, and I lose this rook. So finally I was not sure if to put my rook to a1 or h3, maybe even h3, to keep some option to get to h8 with this rook one day. And okay, let's say a5 might be a normal move. Then I go with my queen to e2, and it's really difficult for black to take control over all the squares on the queen side. So I can also sometimes go to h8 with my rook and try to create some threats from there. Or I can just put my rook back to a1 and try to later use this rook to come to c file, or I can just attack and try to attack and eliminate the pawn on a7. So for black it's not easy now. She cannot push b pawn, and my queen is coming to e2 and then to the queen side, and I thought this position was probably even better for me. So after spending much time, Irina decided to play queen b5, which at first looked like not so great move, because I can at least go queen f4 and she will have to go back, and then maybe I can think about doing something. But after I studied the position a bit, I understood that still there was nothing I could do. I didn't want to exchange queens, I didn't want to exchange rooks, so I decided to play queen back to f4. And okay, apart from f5, she can also think about rook c7. Of course, most normal move queen d7, that's what she did, but rook c7, okay, it's possible, but now my a3 pawn is safe, and maybe I have more options on king side than she does on the queen side. So f5 is the only thing that should be checked, but it looks really terrible. We both agreed about this after the game. After he takes f6, I lose this knight, but well, okay, it's difficult to expect that black can save her position here. I check on b8 and then some more checks, and okay, king f7 in order to protect the bishop. I have at least a draw, and I didn't calculate much, to be honest, but after the game we talked about the position and we saw something like this. Maybe queen and g3 is possible, or maybe it's even better to play f7, the move that she mentioned after the game, and then try to bring rook to f4 and h4. In any case, it looked that white's position would be most probably winning. So she decided not to push f5, of course. She went back with her queen to d7, and here I spent some time, and finally when I got down to a minute or so, I also repeated the position. I played queen g4, queen b5, queen f4, queen d7, and we drew the game here. Well, the only thing I was thinking about was maybe to try to push a4 and then a5. After, let's say, rook a3, I just push a5, and I try to get this c5 square for my knight in case black takes on a5. Then once I eliminate the bishop, I can try to enter with my rook from h3 and h8. But black doesn't have to take knight, she can just stay on third rank, as she said after the game. For example, like this. And then it's not clear what I want to do. I'm not sure if I have some constructive option here to... But okay, maybe it was a possible way to play, but somehow maybe I was even influenced by this, her rejection to repeat the moves even twice in the game in position that I thought was around equal, balanced. So I repeated the moves. To be honest, I was hoping I would be able to just make 40 moves. We drew the game on move 39, and then when I get half an hour more, I would certainly spend some more time to think about a4 and the rising positions. But it didn't happen. After I played my 40th move, she just said draw, and okay, I knew if okay, it's not nice to decline because we repeated the position, and anyway she would have the right to just call the arbiter and declare the draw. So the game was interesting, and okay, I don't think I missed some important chance. I think it was well played by her, and let's check now a bit the position and what Houdini will have to say about it. Let's start from this position. So okay, of course, as I thought, machine thinks black is already better, but I disagree. This is one of the possible ideas. So let's see evaluation of this position. What Houdini will say. Of course, black is better according to the machine, but okay, I will just say that I disagree again. Bishop e7, a3, knight a5, good according to the machine, b3, good move. Okay, it's difficult to analyze this position because the machine really is not of too much help, but some blunders, of course, can still be discovered. Queen b5, normal. For example, it's interesting to see here that even move bishop d2 was possible. I didn't even think about such a move, and it's a normal move, interesting move. Black cannot take on b3 with either queen or knight, so maybe it was better to start like this. Maybe I would have some extra options, I don't know, but okay. Rook e3, rook c8, normal, bishop d2 also normal, queen d3 I really don't like. Okay, maybe the position is still around equal, but I would already give some advantage to black. And okay, short castle, it looks really scary after g4, g3, king g2, and then some attack, because black cannot do really much on the queen side so quickly, and if I manage to build up some pressure on the king side, it's not going to be easy at all. So h5, and bishop takes a5, top move according to the machine. Well, I'm not sure this move is good. Normally I like to see this, that my move is on the top of the list, but right here I'm not really sure, because maybe black still has some small problems here, because her king cannot go to the safety of the castle, but I'm not really sure. Maybe king h2 is a way to start, I don't know. Okay, I took on a5, queen takes, rook c1, rook c1, not great at all. Let's see why. Machine says black takes on c1 and then takes on a3 with the queen, check, bishop d8, queen b7. What now? Now just short castle. And really I must admit that I misevaluated this position. Black's position is totally safe. I cannot attack anything. She doesn't even have to play g6, but she might one day. And her king is safer now. Her structure is better. her bishop has a good square on b6, one day to attack my pawn. So I definitely have to admit that this position is better for black. I'm not sure how much. I still think I'm defending all the key squares, and well, if my pawn would be on h2 instead of g2, if structure would be like that, I would even say maybe my position is fine, but like this I also have some problems with my king. So I don't really know. I think black really has some advantage here. And okay, it's the first thing that I missed, and I think this is something I can definitely call a mistake, and it was not good at all to take on a5 or at least to play rook c1. But if I'm not going to play rook c1, well, then probably it's not so great. Well, maybe I should have started with b4, as the computer says, but then I was worried that Irina would come to c7 and not allow me to put my rook to the c file anymore. So again, here I'm not sure. Well, maybe position is okay, but still I'm even a bit worried even here. So maybe it was not great. Probably it was not great. Now I like move king h2. My king is always in some trouble on g1. So right now black doesn't have really very useful moves. So maybe this was the right moment to just include this. Okay, g5 possible. Who knows? So bishop a5 mistake, or at least rook c1 is definitely a mistake. And king d7 now. b4 is okay. Queen a6 is good. Rook c3, machine says top move, but let's see what happens here. Why does machine thinks this is equal? King d7. No way, queen h7 is equal. I was sure it, and I'm still pretty sure this must be, well, if not better, if not winning, then at least much better for black. I'm really curious how machine will save this position. Queen takes f7, a5, super fast pawn is already, and now king h2 only move, but wow, can this really be a draw? Okay, black has some options, but let's check first the most logical move, a4. Now I go knight g5, and I moved my king because black would normally have queen b1 check and then queen f5, as Irina said after the game, actually. So queen b6, and now I either push f4 or go knight h7. Both of these moves are possible. So did I maybe underestimate my chances on the king side in this situation? How is it possible that my play is so strong? Even now computer thinks that my position is better, but I simply cannot believe black can even just ignore, give everything, and have another queen really soon. Now already the only move is to take on f5, and I play knight h7 here. So queen and knight, good attacking combinations, we all know that. Okay, still, but it looks really like black is having some problems here, and I cannot believe that I could be so wrong. I thought it would be easily lost. So queen d8. Let's see if black will manage to save this. Knight f6. King c6 or king c8. Knight d5. And so on and so on. Okay. Maybe we can conclude that the position is unclear. Although it seems that according to the machine, white has much less problems than black. And let's see if black maybe has some other thing at her disposal here. Not a4, something else. Nothing else. There's nothing else she could do, and it was possible actually to play like this. Wow. Now after seeing all these things, I'm really amazed about this, because wow, just king h2 in this position, just simple king h2, and probably white's position is really good, and I even have several ways to play. I can even just jump to g5, and after queen b6 played, immediately knight h7. Wow, is it possible? The machine is saying now that my position is almost winning. King d8 only move. And now f4. Okay, of course, this has to be checked really carefully, but I already can understand in such situations machine cannot be very much wrong. I think now that the position is really much better for white, and white is actually trying to win here. Knight f8. Black cannot take because I just take and take the pawn on a3. Probably. So a2. Knight takes e6. King d7. Knight c5. Maybe also knight f8. Knight c5. Black has to take on c5. And then push a1. Okay, do I take? Of course, no, is not. Maybe some check or something. No, I take. a1 queen. I take on d5. King c7. Very nice, long forced line. And okay, here it's obvious that I have big advantage, but of course it's not clear if I win, but maybe I also have other options. Now it's clear for me that I completely underestimated my attacking potential, and I was too much afraid of her a-pawn. So let's see if black has something better somewhere earlier. So I double my rooks. Of course she doesn't have to enter, but then enter this position, but then I will have advantage. Okay, rook c3, rook c8. This is almost the only play, and this is what she was planning to do, and this is why I decided not to go for this line. King d7. I don't think king d8 can help. I can always include some check on 8 rank, and so king d7, I go to h7. Okay, black cannot really save her pawns. g5, machine considers this move. I don't believe in this move. I will just, it just gives me more time. So queen a3, queen g7. Anything here? h4 of course is not something I should be afraid of. Well, maybe h4 with some perpetual ideas. Is it possible? h4. Well, but I have options here. But maybe black can save her position somehow by some miracle, but this already really looks like a miracle to save the position like this with some queen c1, queen f4, queen f5 checks. Okay, in any case, I don't think this line is very relevant. I was pretty sure this would happen in the game. And this is the interesting position that was totally misevaluated by me. Okay, so a5 I said. But what if she checks and just plays queen f5 immediately? Correct, this is the correct play for black. This is what she has to do. And now maybe she even has better position. Whew, so after all, it was not so easy. But this was really, I learned something from this. I was amazed about this possibility of attack. Black's pawn looked really fast, and I think I learned a very important thing today. So here, okay, already it's obvious now that black is pretty safe. Yes, here, okay, my position is actually looking much worse now, really, this time really, because I don't have any attack and black has two super dangerous pawns. I might be even lost. So anything else here? I can start with king h2, no way. So okay, the conclusion is that everything was okay, but of course my thinking process was not really perfect, but finally I think it was a good idea to avoid this position. After exchange, knight e1 is normal, g6 good, knight e3 okay, well, king e8 maybe a bit better than b6 according to machine, but okay, let's just continue. Rook f3 okay, king e8 okay, queen d2 is normal, let's check a bit. Queen a3, queen f4 is correct. No, I didn't play like this. Did I? King e8. I played queen d2, but yes, in this position I was not really afraid of queen a3. I was afraid of queen a3 I move later. Here I thought it would be simply terrible, because I can just come to f4 and she cannot protect the pawn. But let's see what... I remember now. I considered this possibility during the game. And rook f8 now. But I stopped around here. I thought it would be at least good enough for me. Queen d4. But okay, machine fights. Okay, I don't like this position for black. Somehow too many weak pawns and not so much play. b5 really might look nice. I'm protecting all my pawns, stopping black from creating a passed pawn, and while keeping my ideas for later. So okay, I think white is better here, or at least not worse. So she played bishop f8, which is normal, and I played king h2, which looks like one of the normal moves as well. Queen b7, she played the move, which is okay. Now let's check queen a3. Queen f4 is good. Rook c7 and knight c5. Yes, queen b4, knight a6. Oops, sorry. Queen c4, and okay, this position, machine thinks it's around equal, obviously, but I don't think it's worse for white. Maybe it can even be better, but okay, let's say it's unclear. So queen b7, she played a good move, and I jumped to f4. Bishop h6, the move I was expecting. Okay, it's normal. Sorry, queen c6 she played. Okay, position is really around equal. Wow, knight g6 equal. I thought this would be bad for me. Queen g5, bishop e7, check, king d7. How is this good enough for me? I don't understand. Rook f7. What do I want to do now? For example, let's say black starts to attack my pawns. I go f4. This is interesting. I want to push f5, then queen d6. Really, I was underestimating somehow my attacking potential throughout the game. So here machine says already h4, but okay, maybe queen c3 is not the best move. Maybe queen on g6 is well placed, so maybe we go queen c2. Okay, many moves here for white according to the machine. So okay, let's say this position is unclear as well, so probably another misevaluation. So I played knight back to d3. I mean, I'm not sure my move is worse, I'm just saying it was... I didn't understand these positions correctly. I thought after I take knight g6 that my position would be most probably losing, because I thought black would be quite safe, but it's not the case. Position is totally unclear. So after knight d3 she played queen c7. Queen f4 is normal. Okay, many moves possible for both sides, but let's just check the important things. Queen d7. Okay, she played here queen e7, right? Queen e7, yes. I moved back. It was possible to push g4. Okay, doesn't change much, but it was possible. I agree. Queen d2, and now she played queen d7. Queen f4, and she decided to go rook c3. So g4 was okay. Let's see if maybe she has something else here. No, probably not. She should take. And now what happens with rook a3? I jump on c5. And this position seems to be really unclear as well. c4 is another option at her disposal. But okay, I mean, machine agrees that I have at least enough for equality, if not, I'm sure that it would be more pleasant to play for white. Okay, so She played queen b5, queen f4, and queen back to d7. What's this position like? Is there a way to continue? Well, the only thing I was thinking about was actually a4. And machine thinks it's black who is better here, or not. It's around equal. Yes, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, everywhere just zeros. Okay, now some small changes, but let's see one of the most. Rook a3, for example, and I push a5. Let's say black takes. I take. Now she doesn't take on c5. Yes, this is kind of idea that I wanted to use, something with knight c5, and she has to give her bishop, then my rook comes from h3 or something like that, and this can be quite dangerous. Machine even says that rook h3 is even better here, and black might even be in some trouble. So she doesn't take this pawn, and even better, she doesn't even touch anything. She just waits, and position is probably still equal. But maybe it was possible to play a few more moves like this, and I think it was actually the right thing to do. But for some reason, okay, I got a bit scared. Actually, it was move 39, and I just wanted, I was somehow pretty sure she wouldn't, because she was really in fighting mode, and she, as she said after the game, during the game, even in position that I thought was really unclear, she wanted to play for a win, she wanted to try to play for a win, so this is really a great thing for her, and I felt this, and I thought that she would just repeat the position one more time, and then I would get half an hour and I would think about the position and if I should continue or if I shouldn't. But okay, in any case, the game was tough, strategically really difficult, really not easy to understand these positions. Some interesting ideas with the knight sacrifice on g6 that I totally misevaluated, then strange position where black pushes her a pawn. It looks really fast, but actually my attacking potential on the king side is not to be underestimated either. So I made one mistake, one real mistake. Okay, I wouldn't call it a huge mistake, but it is a mistake. I let my opponent, I gave her a chance to just exchange on c1 and then grab a pawn on a3 with her queen. After queen c8, bishop d8, I take on b7, she just castles, and she would have position which is slightly better for her without much risk. So this was really wrong.